Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. Today I want to share with you all 3 things that you can look for inside the living space to determine if you have a wet crawl space. Let's face it, most of y'all do not go in the crawl space. You've had a crawl space for years. You don't go down there on a regular basis. But here are 3 things that you can look for around the house or whatever to see if you have a damp crawl space, some warning signs, if you will. Stay tuned. If you're new to Crawl Space Ninja, we talk about everything related to crawl space encapsulation, indoor air quality, and humidity control. We hope you'll subscribe to our channel, ring that notifications bell. Make sure you check out our DIY store and our franchise opportunities. The easy one, the easy warning sign for those of you that may have an issue going on in your crawl space is odors. Okay, now here's the problem with detecting odors. The longer you live with an odor, the less likely you are to notice the odor. So if you've had an issue in the crawl space where you have, that cat pee odor or perhaps mold growing down there or that damp smell or something like that, if it's gradually increased over time, over, months or years, there's a good chance you and your family don't even notice it. So one of the things you want to do is maybe rely on people that come over, like your mother-in-law, for example. If she comes over and starts talking about how bad your house stinks, that might be an indication that you have an odor in the crawl space, okay? So here are some things to listen to from those friends and family that come over and notice the odor that you've been living with. Michael, every time I come over here, it smells like a basement. What is that dirt smell I keep noticing every time I walk in the door? Have you noticed a musty smell when the heat turns on? And lastly, of course, honey, when I go to work, someone told me my clothes smell like mold. Those are some of the things you want to listen for that may be an indication that you have a musty, nasty crawl space. If you've never gone in the crawl space and you hear those things from people, I encourage you to call somebody to check out your crawl space immediately. The second issue that some of you may notice, now of course this is people that have hardwood floors installed, is you may notice that the hardwood is doing something called cupping. All right, if you're walking across the hardwood in your bare feet and it feels like there's ridges going across there, that's called cupping. And I'm going to read to you what Bona.com, if you're not familiar with Bona, they're a hardwood cleaning company. They create a product for cleaning hardwood. Hardwood floor cupping is caused by a moisture imbalance in the flooring. It is a condition when a wood floor gains more moisture on the underside of the board, causing the boards to swell on one side, giving the outside edges of the plank a raised look while the center remains flat. Now, pay attention to what they said. They said when the wood floor gains moisture from the underside. Okay, so cupping of the hardwood is typically a subfloor problem. All right, I know a lot of hardwood installers, and man, they are adamant about making sure that the subfloor moisture level is at a set point before they start installing the hardwood. Plus, you've got to make sure that the hardwood is acclimated. So it's really, really important that your subfloor be dry if you have hardwood floors installed, okay? Something else, if you have tile floors and maybe you notice the grout is discolored in certain areas of the tile, and perhaps in the kitchen you might have spilled something and you notice like a discolored grout. Well, if it's in the living room and you notice a discolored grout line, that could also be an indication of a moisture problem in the crawl space. So if you notice hardwood cupping or discolored grout or something like that in an area that doesn't have moisture, or you've never spilled anything, make sure you have somebody check out your crawl space. Now, when you send somebody down there to check out for that damp crawl space, make sure they're looking at checking the humidity levels, the wood moisture levels, and also, if you have subfloor insulation, dampness can get trapped up above that subfloor, right, above the insulation between the subfloors. So if you notice that hardwood cupping or that discoloration of grout, those are obvious signs of a damp crawl space. I've done a couple of videos about this last one, but one of the things that I've noticed over the years is, especially a house that never had moisture or a damp crawl space before, was that after the homeowner installed a new HVAC system, that they started noticing that the crawl space became damp and exploded with moisture, condensation, all kinds of things, okay? So if you've recently had an HVAC system upgraded with maybe one of these new high SEER units, there's a good chance that the crawl space, they didn't replace the ductwork, they didn't upgrade the insulation, there was no dehumidifier installed, and then all of a sudden, that new HVAC system has caused all kinds of condensation on the ductwork and dampness just to explode inside that crawl space. So what you can do, if you don't want to go down there and look in the crawl space, get a humidity reader. All right, we sell these on our DIY store, or obviously you can get them on Amazon and places like that. And put it on the register. So turn on the AC, okay, or turn on the fan, which may be even better. So either one. Just have air blowing through the registers and set that humidity reader on top of that register and give it a few minutes and see if you see the humidity spike up on that meter, okay? Typically, the HVAC system, when the AC is running, will lower the humidity, okay? So that's part of what happens is in the process of cooling the home, humidity gets lowered. So most of the time, you're gonna see a humidity range of under 45%, if you have a drier crawl space, okay, and the AC is working properly. Now, just to give you an example, if you see a humidity spike when the AC is running coming out of the registers, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a damp crawl space. You could also have a lot of moisture inside the AC unit itself, especially if that condensate line has been clogged or something like that. So it's not an automatic that you have a damp crawl space if the humidity coming out of the AC is high. So you may want to have your HVAC contractor check it out, have it maintenanced if you've not had it maintenanced in a while. But that is one of the things that you want to look for is take that humidity reader, put it on top of that register, let that AC circulate some air, and see if you got a lot of humidity coming out. So one of the checks, one of the things you can do is use your nose or somebody else's nose. The second is you can use your eyes, check that hardwood or that grout, or maybe even feel across that hardwood and look for cupping. And then the third will require you to get a humidity reader and make sure you check that AC and see if there's a lot of humidity coming out. All three of those things can indicate whether your crawl space is damp or not. I'm Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja. We hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.